Hey everybody, it's Matt from the house, and in this video we're going to show you a few of our favorite park boards for the 21-22 season. Let's check this out. First board we got up is the Santa Cruz JP Walker. If you know anything about JP Walker, you know this dude rules the streets and rules the rails. But the really cool thing about this board is it actually holds its own as an all-mountain board. JP rides this board no matter what he's doing. But such a good board in the park, we had to feature it in the park board video. So we've got a twin tip board. It does have a medium flex, so again, it's not gonna mush on you if you try to take some speed and take a carve on it. It does have a micro camber on it. JP likes to have just a little bit of that extra power in between his feet. And then we also have a triax fiberglass in this thing, so you get that extra spring and pop. And then you couple that with their HCM Plus core. And basically what that's doing is it's kind of a souped up core with that souped up fiberglass. So you get a board that has extra spring, extra pop, and then also torsionally in and out of your turns when you're twisting the board. It's actually giving you a little bit of push in and out of your turns as well. All right, next up is the Arbor Westmark, instant classic from Arbor. Really, really cool looking board. I love the nose and tail shape on this thing. That flat nose, kind of blunted off nose, takes me back to some of the classic freestyle boards from the mid to late 90s. Also on this one, we're doing a camber and rockered version. So the rocker version basically gives you that nice, easy, catch-free, floaty feel. And then we have the cambered version, which has a little bit more power, a little bit more aggressive feel in between your feet. One thing to note is they do have the uprise fenders. So this actually does have a little bit of a lift at your contact points on the cambered version, just to kind of give you the catch-free feel of a rockered board, but still give you that power of camber. Obviously, this is a twin tip board. It is a medium flexing board. That medium flex going along with the grip tech, basically where these extra bumps come out at your feet. Now you actually have 4 contact points. So this board is going to hold its own outside of the park. It's going to dig in and really grab on those harder, icier conditions. This does have a power ply ash top sheet. So you look at the top sheet and you see that wood and it looks really, really cool, but that actually is a wood top sheet. Why that's important is basically that wood is actually adding durability. It's adding spring. It's adding pop to the board. It's not just there for looks. The other thing you should check out too is there is a Frank April edition version of this too in the camber. It's got a pretty cool pizza graphic that ties in with his pizza place. He's not just a snowboarder. And word is there's actually an extra little gift with that version as well. All right, next up, the Burton Blossom. I fell in love with this board instantly when I saw it because this has got kind of a cool, old school retro graphic. Took me back to some of those old Burton boards from back in the day. And that's exactly what Burton wanted to do. They wanted to do just a classic round nose like boards always used to have. And we're also doing just a standard camber on this one as well. So this one is a high-end park board. You can hit rails, you can hit jumps, you can take it outside of the park. Basically, this thing is a custom twin. So the custom being one of the best-selling all-mountain, go anywhere, do anything boards. It is a directional board. This one is basically the twin tip version of it. A lot of times they do have the custom twin as a limited edition board, but this year they wanted to kind of switch it up a little bit, add it to the line, add it as a specific park board. We're still doing that triax fiberglass with the carbon, so it's give you that extra spring and pop. But if you're that guy that really, really likes the custom, you just want to have more of a twin tip version, something you can ride in the park, or maybe you just spend most of your time riding in the park, then this is actually a great option for you. All right, next up we have the Capita Ultrafear. So this board a long time ago actually used to be a limited edition board, and then they sold so many of them that they had to add it to the line. And since they did that every single year, it's one of their best selling, if not the best selling park board from Capita, and one of the better selling park boards just in the industry in general. So it is a twin tip shape. We're also doing a camber to flat to rocker. Sounds like a lot, but the really cool thing about this one is it actually gives you a lot of different options for your riding, and it basically benefits you in a lot of different ways. We've got the camber in between your feet, so we've got that extra spring, that extra pop. We've also got that torsional quickness in and out of your turns and stability. Then by going to a flat area, now we've got these 2 little spots here where if you're on boxes, rails, or even if you're just buttering around on the snow, it gives you a nice flat spot, so you get a little bit more stability. And then we get that little bit of rocker before you get to the kicks, so we get that catch-free feel. Another cool thing about this board too is the fiberglass. It's not a triax, it's not a biax, it's both. It's a mixed glass. You actually have 1 layer of biaxial and a layer of triaxial glass. So what this does is triaxial glass is basically fiberglass going in 3 directions. Biaxial is 2. Try, bi. Get it? With that, you're basically getting triaxial glass, which has a little bit snappier, livelier feel, and biax, which has a little bit easier, smoother feel. And by doing the 2 different layers, you're kind of getting that right in between. In addition to that triax fiberglass, we're also doing a carbon Kevlar body armor. So basically what that is some extra strips of carbon Kevlar that go along the edges and also through the middle of the board. This is basically adding strength to the edges. It's also adding a lot of spring and pop along the length of the board. So when you load this thing up, it wants to get back and give you that extra kick. Also gives you extra stability. If you land it a little heavy on the front or heavy on the back, it's going to want to set you down. But the cool thing is by running it along the length of the board, it's not messing with the board torsionally, so it still has a nice, easy, smooth feel in and out of your turns. In addition to all of that, we've got the cork sidewall too. So there's actually a thin piece of cork that runs in between the sidewall and the edges. It does 2 things. Offers a little bit of vibration dampening so the board can hold a better edge. And more importantly, when you're landing on rails and boxes, it gives a little bit so you're not going to crack and destroy your edges as easily. All right, next up is the Public Disorder. Really, really cool board from Public this year. This is actually Joe Sexton. This is his pro model board built to his specifications. I love the look of this board too. It's kind of crazy. When you see it in person, the video doesn't do it any justice. It's almost like a glossy matte top sheet. It just has a really cool look and feel. And then the graphic itself actually has a pretty cool story. Basically, one of Joe's friends said, here's a coloring book, color these in. And Joe was like, okay. So he did, and they turned it into a top sheet without Joe really even knowing about it. So pretty cool concept there. But beyond the looks of this board, we actually have got a twin tip board. It does have a micro camber in it. Joe likes to have a nice stable board, but he wants that little extra camber just for extra spring, pop, and then when he's leaning in his presses, he wants to have to lean a little bit more, which makes the presses look better. Also on this thing, we're doing a urethane sidewall, which is unbelievable. This board, basically when you're landing on rails, that urethane, it's kind of like a soft skateboard wheel. It basically gives a little bit so you're not cracking your edges. You're also getting some vibration dampening. So when you're carving on this thing too, it's gonna help hold an edge better. When the board wants to vibrate and shake loose, that basically helps absorb that vibration so it can hold a better edge. Another thing that's really rad about this thing too is we're doing a centered base, so you're gonna keep speed no matter what you're doing. All right, and last up, we've got the Ride Twinpig. So with the success of the Warpig, which is an all-mountain volume shift board, Bride wanted to do a park version. So the cool thing is this one does hold its own outside of the park. It does have a little bit more of a medium flex to it. It is an asymmetrical twin. So when you look at it, it does look like a twin tip board, but the cool thing is you don't realize that your right foot always goes here and your left foot always goes here. And basically what that is the board is asymmetrical from side to side. The reason for that, if you ever tried standing on your toes versus standing on your heels, standing on your heels is not as easy. When you're carving on your snowboard too, it's a lot easier to get pressure on your toe side edge to dig in. This one, they're basically giving you a little bit more aggressive side cut on the heel side edge to give you that extra advantage when you are trying to carve hard on your heels. We're doing a mixed glass in this thing as well, so we're getting that perfect balance between triaxial and biaxial. So we get the quickness of the triaxial, but we also get that nice easy smoothness of the biaxial fiberglass. It is a camber to rocker design, so we're getting that extra power between your feet, getting that extra float and catch free feel up in the nose and tail. And then the other thing that's rad too is these slim walls. Ride's been doing slime walls, which is a urethane sidewall. They've been doing it for a long time. This year in a few of the boards, they wanted to do the slim wall, which is basically a slimmer version of that sidewall. So it is very thin. When you look at it, it's just that little thin white piece in there, but it's still giving you that durability on the rails. It's still giving you that vibration dampening, but it's actually making the board a little quicker from edge to edge. Also, it's carving a little bit harder as well. Another cool thing to note about this board is that it does have a volume shift of 3 to 6 centimeters. So whatever your normal board is, you're actually gonna downsize 3 to 6 centimeters. So this one being a 148, this is for those riders that usually ride 151s to 154s. All right, well, thanks for checking out our video about our favorite park boards for the 21-22 season. Obviously, we can't show you all of our favorite park boards because then the video would be 10 hours. But if you got any questions about what we talked about in this video or any of the other park boards that we've got at thehouse.com, leave some comments down below. We're on there every single day trying to answer your questions. We want to make sure we get you into some rad gear, but more importantly, we want to make sure that it's actually going to fit you and your riding style. Also, make sure to like, subscribe, and get that notification bell on too so you can find out when all the new videos drop. And no matter what kind of park rider you are, grab yourself a board, get out and ride, because any day of riding is a good day of riding.